What if the embargo never went on Cuba? What if JFK never signed it? Let's play a game.
Sure.
So there's a part of my channel that I like to ask the what if questions. And let's play that game with each other. What if the embargo never went on Cuba? What if JFK never signed it? Would you guys still have the best cigar? Because you guys have the English market selection sticker. Would you guys still be able to get the finest of the Cubans into your market?
So EMS, which is English market selection, is a distinction that the importer puts on the boxes once they're brought in. And whilst we feel and we believe the UK is an important market for Habanos, small but important, and therefore we get really a high quality of cigars. I don't think Habanos would ever admit that.
Yeah.
But we see that, and we have the additional advantage that Hunters and Francois are filtering. And to confer the EMS badge on a box of cigars, it really has to be up there with their standards as well as Cuba's own.
Yes.
So that really helps. However, back to Kennedy's signing.
Do you know what? That's a very good question. And it's a very, very hard question to answer because I just don't know. I mean, if the embargo never happened, I think we wouldn't be where we are because I think, because the American market's so huge. And I think the availability of Cubans would go way, 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 way down. And they'd be like, they would turn into, like Louis Trey, and it would be like, 100 of stick everywhere.
If you hadn't signed it, I think the eventual market would be heavily focused in the US. I think the other markets that developed, perhaps the importance and prestige that we've seen since '62, Switzerland, ourselves, Germany, there's other markets as well, Hong Kong and others, it probably wouldn't have had as much space to do that because, of course, the US is on its own could easily absorb all Cuban production.
It's a hard question to answer. I don't think, because Cuba can only produce X amount of cigars a year. I think it's like something like 220 million, something like that. And they can barely feed the markets in Europe that they do now. So if America was in the equation, I don't know, it's a very hard question to answer. But I think the price would be even higher. I think New World would be the one you smoke like every day. And then that Cuban would be the one you smoke on like your birthday or Christmas because the price would be exponential. There'd be like behind glass cabinets everywhere. I don't know. It's a hard question to answer. I'd love to see what that would be like, but I think this industry here, these shops would not exist if that happened. I think it would probably be like I think it would just be, Hunters and Francois, the importers would be just selling it themselves. I don't think you'd need retailers. I think it'd be such a luxury product. It's a very hard question to answer. I mean, I wish I could. I've thought about this many, many times. I've asked this question with the guys upstairs who I work with, and they were like, "Thank God there's an embargo,"
Yes,
because we have this market, and it's probably a good thing. But if it never happened, obviously we wouldn't really be able to compare it. But it's a hard question to answer.
On the flip side, Cuba would have had plenty of investment. The industry in Cuba would have continued to flourish and grow. And I think what you would be seeing would be perhaps certainly more demand because of America, but you would also have seen a really deep and very, very top of the line, well-funded, capitally invested industry. You would not have had the deterioration perhaps in factories and resources that we've seen over the years.
I have to disagree with you. I still think you guys would get the best.
You're very good.
I'm sorry.
I would like to think.
No, because when you think about it, the Hunters and Francois, the relationship that they formed over so many years, I feel like you guys would still be at the top of the food chain. I truly believe it's hard to say that the relationship, that the friendship that Hunters and Francois have with the Cubans.
Yeah, I think it will best of any importer in the world. I really do.
Yeah, I think you guys would still have the AMS. Our diplomats would probably get the best cigars, but you guys would still be the top market for the merchandise.
Sure, yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, it's such a hard, it's such a broad thing to think about. Like, there's so many caveats, like so many different things you can take into account. But it's just something that I do think about a lot, but I just don't have an answer to. I wish I knew. I mean, I'd like to see it, but I mean, I think it would end certain parts of the industry here. Like, it would end like smoking lounges. I think that would be gone. I think that would, like, it wouldn't be such a, well, actually, I'm not sure. Maybe like the new world culture here would be, actually, yeah, I'll take that back. So there'd be smoking lounges, but it would be like, as I said, like all new world. And then Cubans would be like the, like, you know, god tier of, you know, what you smoke if you want to spend like 500 on a stick or something. But yeah, but I think the culture would be very, very different here.
You know, a subtlety on that, probably what happened, I mean, who knows what would have happened, but remember, it was after the signature, and of course the Castro regime had already happened, so that's not in play, but they nationalized the industry.
Yes.
So for the embargo not to have happened, we would have had to have assumed perhaps the revolution didn't happen. If one happened.
Yeah, there's a lot of what ifs. Yes.
And now I start thinking about it. Yeah. Oh my God.
So you're happy the embargo is on?
Do you know what? I think for how it is for us here, I think yes, I would say yes. I am quite happy about that. It's a shame for the Cubans, you know. But I would say, I mean, it's probably the wrong thing to say, but yeah, I think for the industry and like for what I love, I think for me, the embargo is actually a good thing, being a British person. But yeah, I would say that.
Okay, last couple questions. Let's say